Exactly. Well, that's so exactly what I'm saying. So you think that we didn't evolve from a single cell some 3 or 4 billion years ago, and that there was no anything involved in the
I do
evolution.
believe that.
But the well, I'm just saying. So what premise is it that you don't accept?
Believe that to a certain extent, but I'm always willing to conform my ideas to new things that present themselves to me, new observations. With you, it seems like things are a foregone conclusion, and you're starting to make the... Sorry, go on.
No, it's just a little bit of lag. Um, no, it's well, I'm sorry, but I mean, yeah, some of it is stuff we can write in stone now. Some of these are truths now. They're not. Unless you have extraordinary evidence, the game is over on some of these subjects. We're not the byproduct of alien intercourse with monkeys or some other kind of bullshit. I mean, UFOs didn't build the pyramids. We can write some of this stuff in stone, and we don't have to keep pretending there's some other story to our history. We know where we came from. We were fucking apes, and now we're talking apes.
Video, or one of my last videos, I talked about how we really don't know where we're from. All we've done is push it back a little. We've learned about this thing called evolution, but to actually describe how lifeless matter came to form into something called life, nobody knows a flying fuck about what happened then. So we only know our origins from a certain extent. And for you to talk about this, like, why should we be talking about flying spaghetti monsters or super peanut butter sandwiches and bullshit like that? Well, those are called speculations. My professor of mine told me that philosophy is the business of speaking of the possible and not the impossible. So, like, for you to not even have any kind of concept of what might be, I think is being a little narrow-minded. You're always talking about what was or what is, but for me, I see a lot of potential in the state of things to change towards something greater. And that's not to say I believe in a god or some kind of whole that's all voodoo, whatever, but I'm just saying there is potential, and to,
Hey,
you know,
voodoo's real, motherfucker.
sink into despair, for me, is just, I'm not about to do that. Maybe it's
Well,
something
that's kind of the
about
argument.
being young, but...
Regardless, I'm not making sink into despair videos. When was the last time I made a video saying sink into despair? I mean, it's just bullshit. Today's videos attempting to describe the truth of our circumstance. And it doesn't have anything to do with any despair or any of this other crap, any of these emotional consequences. All right, so spare me this critique of the truth, that the truth isn't happy enough. Well, that's really not the ambition.
Why is your channel named Gloom Boom Doom?
Because it has to do with the fact that I think that's where the fact's point is, that we are going to blow this shit hole up, because we're not going to get past our violent nature. We're not going to create the mechanisms necessary to protect against it, and so that's what it's going to be. It's going to be boom and then gloom and then doom, but whatever. Yeah, well, nihilist is just
Probably a good thing.
So
again,
boom,
that's just more
gloom, and doom.
crap.
I can never find your channel because I never remember in which order you put those words.
Yeah, well, I don't remember either. I just picked the one that was available. I mean, I know one of them, one arrangement wasn't, and so the other was. So I just, wow, this is available, so I'll use this one.
I know you don't like name dropping, but a guy named D.H. Lawrence, like my favorite author ever, talks about how man is likely to destroy himself, but he takes comfort in it. It's a good thing. Destruction with renewal, meaning that, sure, we're going to destroy ourselves because we are imperfect. I don't agree that human beings are anything special, but I do agree that we're kind of this transformative type of being that could become something better, could become something meaningful, and we really have no idea of knowing what that type of thing is. And to totally disregard it, to me, is just kind of like throwing what we have, this thing called the gift that Professor Anton would talk about, out the window, even though it's not here yet. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So you're saying that isn't phantasmagorical crap, okay? But I mean, if humans are going to become something, to become some sort of sixth penist, yeah, whatever. I mean, well, I'm trying to think. What else do we eat and fuck? We eat and fuck. So it's going to be about penises and McDonald's somehow. But that's all. Yeah, what are you talking about? What we're going to go? We're gonna be magical people, and we're gonna do like magical things. Like we're just gonna skip around in our robes and with our wands. Yeah, come on.
What about genetic engineering?
What about
it's
it?
new again every generation, Gary.
What about
We eat, we fuck, we entertain ourselves. We engage in our projects, and by the time we get tired of it, it's time to die. And you got another generation for whom it's all new again.
Yeah, except a big part of the world's population does that hard work dying thing a lot sooner than you're going to do it. So their quality of life isn't going to be nearly as
well, let us hope.
comfortable as yours. And my only argument would be is that people have been around a while. There should be a point where they say, oh, I get it.
Maine Police 2 made a sort of like a analysis video about you, about Amendham. And I made a little comment in his comment section. I talked about those two premises you talk about so much. Reproduction and consumption. And then I talked about it in respect, or with respect to, bioengineering. And what if we came up with some kind of creature who didn't need to eat, who didn't need to reproduce because he or she was immortal, a self-sustaining, immortal life form. Is that not conceivable to you? That would throw both your premises out the window.
Look, I've argued for virtual reality, which gives you all of that. My argument to you would be, it doesn't matter if you make this beastie, it's still going to fight over who gets to fuck Christina Applegate. Okay, we're still going to fight over this ego crap. Because it's the ego crap that really keeps us in the game. I mean, it's that competitive nature thing that we really do feed on. I mean, it's all ego candy.
No, I kind of think that is a product of our particular neurological structure, this whole idea of seeing things this way through this Darwinian sort of battle. I think that's just a stage we're in our psychological development. I think there's some other kind of concept that we aren't even able to grasp because, like you say, we are trapped by our biology.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just saying, though, you're saying that we can somehow make this pig fly, okay? That somehow we can glue enough feathers on it or do something to re-engineer it to make it fly. And I'm just saying, no, it's a pig. I mean, really, if you try to extract the desire out of the machine to make it more moderate, you're probably going to take the whole game out of the machine. I mean, the pain is what makes you see the gain, and it's such a part of value. I mean, you don't appreciate things if it's just handed to you. No, it does take a struggle. It does take a bit of want, and we've got to walk the desert before we really can appreciate the water. Kind of bullshit, and that's just part of the trap we are in.
I mean, if you remember a point in your life, say your childhood, when you hadn't been introduced to, relativism yet, and you had a quite clearly defined hierarchy of value of good versus bad. If that was possible then, and you're at this stage now, what's to say that the stage you're in now is just as naive in comparison to some kind of future stage where we might return to this point where we can see value as value and not this sort of just like relativistic bullshit. I don't know. This thing where...
Where am I being a relativist? I'm just saying that human sensibilities are structured by nature, and nature has made us not to be satisfied, but to make us unsatisfied. It wants to keep us moving through the humus. I mean, I use this example of the worm, but yeah, I mean, we're living in an environment, and to survive, to succeed, you have to be structured. That's how you succeed. And so over 2 billion years of sentient evolution, well, 1.5 billion, whatever, yeah, we succeeded because we were a bug, we were a cockroach willing to keep pushing through the humus, and that's how we've been built. We haven't been built to sit on our ass and say, I feel good, I feel complete, I feel actualized. No, we've been built to say, God damn it, I got fucking tumors growing all over me. My foot just fell off, and I got an itchy asshole. But I'm going to keep on struggling because there's a can of Coke over there, and I want that fucking can of Coke. I mean, that's how we are built, to never give up. And it's insane.
It seems to me that whenever somebody makes a reference to some kind of good that science or, progress has brought in us, you always give an analogy that's something far lower, something we associate with a low degraded state, like a peanut butter sandwich or a cockroach or something. And that's why I call you a moral relativist, because it's as if you're not seeing the difference in value between, something like a hadron collider or something like a spaceship or something like bioengineering or something like, artificial limbs in relation to something like a peanut butter sandwich. Just like it's some kind of frivolous gain that we've made that doesn't mean shit in the end. And I think that is the perspective of a relativist.
Well, I don't know where you get that from. I'm a big fan of, like, Hoover Dams. I'm a big fan of smart expenditures. But yeah, some of the things you mentioned I wouldn't waste money on. I mean, I wouldn't waste money treating malaria. I would put all the money into finding a cure for malaria. Finding a way to eradicate the bug, or else to treat the disease completely. But yeah, this idea that so I'm all for the long-term investment in the most efficient way over the long term. So I don't see where you see my lack of future vision, where I'm saying, well, let's have a good big party today and spend all of tomorrow's money. I mean, I'm not, I preach against deficit spending. I'm not for waste. I mean, you got a lot more of a complex argument. When you mention stuff like the Hadron Collider, I mean, that's really marginal rationale for that. Like, what we're going to get out of that. We're probably not even going to get a bottle of Tang out of that fucking thing. And we got Tang out of the moon, so at least we got Tang. But I don't think the Hadron Collider is going to even give us Tang.
Okay, then I guess I have a question for you, because I do seem to not know what sort of value you are striving for. Like, you say, okay, I want the most efficient, quickest, least painful route towards what? I mean, I never hear you talk about anything speculative or something where we could find contentment and could find